Fine, welcome back. Yes. Can you quickly give the blank hand raise so that we can know who are all there? Give a blank hand raise. Hand raise, I'm asking about hand raise. Don't click on plus. Okay. Others? All right. Okay. We'll see that. Okay, they will be added. So before we went to the break, we have discussed about the few other things about the different chapters of our Spring. We have already discussed. These are the things like chapter 1 to 6. We have overview of Spring, dependency injection, Spring with a web layer, aspect-oriented programming, and integrating Spring with a business layer and presentation layer also. So here we have discussed about how we can integrate Spring with a JSF as well as with your Hibernate implementation. And last we have seen also managing the transaction and different kind of your transactional attributes, how we can implement as part of your configuration in XML as well as in annotation also, how we can do that we have been discussed here. Now we'll move down to some other few parts. As I have discussed with you, like we'll see what are the FSD based questions and how the patterns which will be there normally for a JSF or a Hibernate or a Spring. Let me go with a chapter wise so that it will be easier. I think all of you can see the slide about Java's JSF. Chapter 1, which will be overview of JSF, developing UI, then chapter 2, chapter 3 is managing user input. JSF overview, that is basically theoretical question which will come. You can go through some of the your features about the JSF, and based on that, there are certain questions which may come. In developing UI, when I'm saying in the second chapter, mostly here the questions will be of type syntax-based questions. So it will ask you the syntaxes related to the maybe input text field, or maybe you talk about output text field, or output label, links, command buttons, or select tags, select one menu, select say many. These are all the different kind of your GUI tags which are there. So that GUI tags, syntaxes, whichever it is there. So that kind of your syntaxes mostly they will be coming. So it may ask you like maybe he will ask you one simple combo box syntax it will give you, and it will ask you that this particular syntax is giving an error, and please see that these 4 options are there, and which one will be the best suitable syntax for the creating the combo box or checkbox or maybe a radio button also. So such kind of things which will be there, and however it will also have like we have core tag library also it is there. So we have here view tag, sub view tag it is there. So that syntax questions also will come from the developing UI in the second chapter level. That is also we need to concentrate. So whichever the demos which we have seen, so please see to that. Like if I'm using view and sub view tag, how that syntax is there. So there can be a one question from your book snippet of code only. And next we have this is one. Managing user input. Managing user input, the questions mostly will be scope-based questions. So if you remember, we have a different type of scope like none scope, view scope, then session scope, application scope. All these are the different request scope which are there. So their annotation and how we use that annotation syntaxes. So managed bean, then after that, the bean name and year is equal to true, or the section scope, whatever the bean name. So that syntaxes level the question which will be there, and whatever the your lifetime of each type of scope, that can be the one questions which will be there. the syntax is to access a particular value or the property from a bean. That can be one question which will be coming from your managing user input level. So this is what I can say the probable questions from your managing user input. So please concentrate on that. Okay, mainly you should concentrate on the lifetime syntaxes. Okay, whichever it is there, like scopes as part of your annotation. As part of your faces icon config.xml also. So remember that. Okay, we have also the configuration we can do in the faces-config.xml XML file, like where we have managed bean, manage the class, then we have we need to specify the scope. That XML snippet code which you need to remember also. That is one part in the managing user input. And we have in the managing user input in the chapter 3 only. If you remember, we have conversion and validations are there also. In the conversion and validation, again the syntaxes level, what are the standard conversions tags are there, what are the standard validation tags are there, and however we can have custom conversion and custom validations are there. So accordingly, one syntaxes questions which comes from the standard tags, and custom tags based on that annotation symbol, how we are using. So small snippet of code which will be given, so that you need to remember as part of this managing user input it is concerned. Then you have next, it will come to the managing page flow in web application. Very, very important topic as part of your FSCD, because mostly this type of, from this chapter there is a questions which will come, that is navigational. So navigational rules, navigational cases which will be there. So that snippet of code which is there, conditional based navigation rule, so that will be the one questions which will become from this particular chapter. So you need to be ready for that. Okay, so when you are reading, so please see the snippet of the code concentratedly, because he will try to ask you the questions from that. Okay, so find out which particular snippet or what is that level, what is the sequence of the flow in the your faces-config.xml file, that we need to remember here. Then we have chapter 5 when I'm talking about, so this is about your handling the events. In case of your handling the events, here you will talk about the different kind of your events which we have been discussed, like application level events and system level events which we have been discussed, and their related syntax which is there. So that will be the part, and please go through each and every classes and interfaces related to the events which are there. So that is the part of the questions which will be from the chapter 5. Syntaxes related to how we are associating your event with the GUI. So that will be the one questions which will be coming in your chapter 5 also. So this is about your chapter 5 questions which may be the probables from the JSF also. That means, if you see that, most of the time I'm talking about the snippet of codes, mostly it is concentrating. You'll see if there are some around 35 questions, you'll see some around 22 to 23 questions will be based on the snippet of code only. So that's why you need to concentrate on these snippet of codes. So that is, so yeah, rather you can just scribble down the syntaxes so that, you can remember that, how exactly these syntaxes are working. You take down something like developing the UI, you take down for command button, command link, what is that syntax it is there, for select button, what is the syntax which will be there. Just scribble it once, so that you can remember, and it will be easy for us to give the exam. And we have chapter 6 which will be there, that is standardizing the layout of the web pages when I'm talking about. Here also, if we talk about the tags, related to the composite, the tags like define tag, which is the UI:define. So that is one tag, and how we are going to use the template, the child template, how to use in your base template. So these type of your questions which will come, because mostly it will be asking from the template based questions. Though we have styles are the part of this layout, but however mostly it will concentrate on the template based questions only, it will be concentrating. So the syntax related to the template, that is your facelet namespace tags which are there. So that will be the more important in this particular chapter also. So please concentrate on that particular tag, how we are child template can be the base, it will be added to the base template. What is the tags we are using? What is the syntax of that? Okay, define or a composition. So these are all the few things what we can go for. Okay, standardizing the layout of the web pages we can see. And chapter 7, when I'm coming to this, okay, this is here composition of a new UI component, where the 5 tags which are there, please remember that. Okay, so you have interface, then we have implementation. Okay, so these tags, the 5 different tags which are there, their implementation. I think one demo which we have seen, from that demo, this particular tag implementation which we have created, please remember that particular tag. I think more than enough. Okay, you can remember all the few things. One demo, if you will do that, is more than enough for this composition of new UI components also. Chapter 8, which we have developing the Ajax-based enabled web pages. In that, the questions which will come from the one syntax, which is the Ajax-based syntax, which is there, how you can associate that Ajax tags with your UI tags. Okay, so that is one particular tags which you can specify. So these are the probable questions, mostly the syntaxes level questions which are there in case of your JSF. Am I clear to you? Can you please acknowledge any questions from this? I want everyone to respond. Click on plus. Thank you. So now the next one which we have to see, that is we need to go for the Hibernate. We know that okay, there are 5 chapters which are there. That is chapter 1, which is overview of Hibernate, and we have mapping the classes with a relational database, querying database, persisting objects, and implementation of your transaction and concurrency. Now in this case, overview of Hibernate. Okay, in this it will provide you the Hibernate architecture, the features of the Hibernate, and the difference between JPA and Hibernate. This is mostly from this, okay, 1 or 2 mark questions which will be coming. So mostly it can be from the comparison or maybe some definition type of your questions which will come. And then you need to know that okay, the 6 different objects which are there for your configuration. We have something called a session factory, session. Then we have transaction, query, and the criteria. From that, okay, how to create that particular syntaxes will be the question from the overview of Hibernate. So that we need to remember as part of your chapter 1. Okay, so that paragraph, okay, that we know that okay, how to create a configuration object, how to create your session factory, session object, then transaction, then we save. This code, if you remember, that is more than enough for the overview of Hibernate. Other things theoretically you can study. Then chapter 2, you have in the mapping classes with the relational databases and all. In this you will find mapping classes. It is a very big chapter actually. Okay, if you see, like we have lot of things are there in this, so you will need to concentrate on this only. So mostly the questions will become, because if you see that other chapters are a little bit of small, but okay, if you consider this chapter, it will be a bit huge. So you need to see that okay, one is that okay, classes with entity and value types. There can be a question from that. There can be a question from the list mapping, that is set, bag, and your bag, set, and the list. These are the 3. Again, we have inheritance implementation. How we can do that is table per class, table per subclass, table per concrete class. So that we need to remember. Okay, so as part of that, okay, how that mapping we are doing. And here, okay, very very important thing is nothing but your Hibernate mapping file. All these particular concepts for that, okay, how the mapping file it has to be there. That we need to remember here mainly, because questions will be from here. So chapter 2, okay, you need to concentrate more. You can take in something like very 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 important. Okay, so please remember that. Okay, this particular chapters will should be studied in that manner, because most of the questions from your Hibernate you will find from this. And coming back to the next, that is As part of your chapter 3, it is concerned, querying the database, syntax for creating a query, creating your criteria-based query, creating your native API, that is native SQL queries, how to execute. For that, okay, the query object, how to create. These three syntaxes which you need to remember as part of your querying the database itself. So that will be the chapter 3, querying the database itself. Now chapter 4. Chapter 4 will be persisting the object. So this is again, you can talk about simple again, because you will be using here the session.save and persist method, and state of the object is very, very important here. Like we have transition state, then persistent state, and we have detached state. Which method when it will call it, then the diagram which we have seen. If you remember, there is a diagram which we have seen, and from which object, from one object state to the another state, if you are moving, which method requires that. So that we need to remember, and then okay, you need to remember some of the methods for the persisting, like we have update, we have delete, we have say persist, we have save method, the difference between the get and load method. Okay, so that kind of things which we need to remember as part of your persisting object it is concerned. All right, okay, then we have the last, that is nothing but your chapter 5, which is concerned implementing the transactions and concurrency. Here we have discussed about the different transactions. Acid properties, we need to remember that, okay, what there can be a one definition questions maybe from the acid properties, that can be the one questions which may be. And then we'll go for the concurrency level, concurrency which says about isolation level, and we have something called as versioning, and we have something lock. Okay, these are the three things which are there. So the syntax level, how to implement the isolation level, how to implement the version, and the steps for implementing the version, like we need to create a variable for the class in the persistent class, as well as we need to create a column in the versioning, okay, in your database table. So how that step needs to be implemented in the concurrency, you need to remember that, okay, as part of this. And isolation logs, how to implement that, we can remember. You can also remember the last one, that is nothing but your lock. Okay, so different kind of your logs. Isolation level logs, each one what they do, like read uncommitted, committed, okay, serialization. All these are the logs, how they are doing, which particular issues can be resolved by what particular logs. That need to be remembered in this part, that is implementing the transactions itself. All right. Now this is the chapter 5 which will be. Then we'll have the next one, that is nothing but your building web application using Spring framework. The chapter, we have 6 chapters which are there, and as part of this, okay, overview of the Spring, where we have discussed about the features of the Spring and the architecture of the Spring also we have seen. And obviously there will be some theoretical questions which comes from that. The differences between a Spring and EJB which we have been discussed, so that from that also one question which will come. Then okay, very, very important again, okay, here implementing the dependency injection, which is again a big chapter here. Okay, so there we need to remember what is the dependency injection, how we are implementing the auto wiring and explicit wiring. And remember here, okay, the questions which will be again from the syntaxes level, where we are talking about the application context.xml file, how you will need to configure. What is the part which will be there in the web.xml file? What is the part which will be there in your servlet, okay, your dispatcher servlet.xml file. So these are 3 things which you need to be remembered. Okay, that in dependency index, what is the for auto wiring, different auto wiring features which are there, like by name, by type, okay, then auto detect. All these are the things your syntaxes level which you need to be remembered as part of your Spring based questions which we need to remember here. And the next one, it is nothing but your integrating with your Spring with your web layer, how we are implementing. Here the life cycle which we have been discussed about, your web based life cycle, that is nothing but your dispatcher servlet, okay, then it has to go to your say application context.xml, then it has to go for URL mapping of your say dispatcher servlet.xml file, getting the controller, then okay, getting the view resolver, get the view, then okay, rendering that to the user. That life cycle which has been explained, okay, in this particular layer, you need to remember that. Okay, so that syntaxes need to be remembered as part of that. Implementing AOP, when it will come, okay, there is a syntaxes of AOP, whatever it is there, like creating, which we have seen the demo also. There, okay, you can concentrate on that, like creating your advice, then creating your say proxy object, creating your point cut. Okay, so what is exactly this joint point? Okay, each and every definition, that terminology of AOP, which we need to go through, and the syntaxes. Okay, how to create the advice. Okay, what are the methods are there? Mainly that methods which you need to remember when you are going for the advice. That few things which will be the part of your AOP also. So the syntax level which will be part of your AOP again. And chapter 5, which is integrating with your JSF, the syntaxes related to the JSF, how it will convert that the Spring Bean, okay, how it can be called, okay, in your JSF, that okay, syntaxes level, whatever the changes are required for us. So that we need to remember here in the integrating Spring with your presentation layer. Similarly, with your Hibernate also, what are the steps which we need to follow? Like we need to create a DO object. We need to specify that, okay, that is in the in our bean level, which we need to be specified. Then what is that, okay, Hibernate configuration file, how you can call that in our dispatcher servlet.xml file. All that, okay, syntaxes which are there in your book also, we need to remember that, which we have seen a small demo also which I have shown you. So please remember to that particular demo. And coming back to the managing transaction, here we need to know the different type of your attributes of the transactions of your like behavior. Okay, that is propagation behavior, which we are discussing all about. Then we have discussed about your isolation levels. We have discussed about your read only. Okay, so their attributes, with their syntaxes, how we can implement that, we need to remember here. And then we need to implement also that transaction when we are implementing to the methods. Okay, how we need to implement with annotation, and how we can implement that through the XML configurations also. That syntaxes which you need to remember. So that part, okay, you can highlight in your book and we can study that. All right. So that is the part, okay, which I am talking about as part of our exam-based questions when it will be there. So from which particular one the questions will be mostly coming, okay, that we have been discussed here. All right. So you should go through any questions or anything. If you want to ask me, then you can pick. I want everyone to respond. There is one thing which is that, okay, like web integration, I will send that particular demo. Do not worry about that. Anything? No. Now, TRIM components, let us will have a small look into that. Okay, so that okay, overall thing we can know. As part of your TRIM, you'll have this is the TRIM components which will be there. Please see to this. We'll have coordinator grade PDFs which are there, data files for faculty, student, and milestone for faculty. I think we have been discussed about this TRIM, the schedules and all. Which template demo you are talking about? Can you please be clear? I did not get that. Okay. So milestone and slides which are there. You can see that okay, there is we have the slides. Okay, the JSF we have around obviously 8 sessions, so 8 slides will be there. So this is already slides, you know. Only thing that which you need to know, that is session plan we have already discussed how much that is whatever the cycle test and PMRs which will come, that we have already discussed. Implementation manual, there is no I think already you know, that is NetBeans we require, and we require the JDK need to be installed into that. Okay, NetBeans 8 it will be better. Okay, so you can install that. And data files for faculty, you'll have JSF. And JSF, we have all the data files which are available here. You can see the chapter wise, okay, the data files, and each activities if you do, then it can be completed one project also. So as a part of that, okay, you can go through these data files for faculty. I will be sharing with you. I will say that okay, part by part I will share, because it is totally it is 227 MB. So hence I'll part by part I will share with you. Again the same thing. Okay, so first you do all the demos which we have discussed, because we have done in a very simple wise demo. So once you get the confidence, then you start working with these particular projects also, because all these things, once you get to know all the JSF concepts, then it will be easy for you to go through these particular projects, because he has given as a project wise, so you have to go through project wise. Every NetBeans project it has given. So everyone is a one project. Okay, so NetBeans project, so you have to go through. So I have again same data files for faculty. For Hibernate is also available, but remember that okay, when you are using with your Hibernate, you need to also see that okay, the respective tables in the Derby or okay, the Oracle database need to be there, otherwise it will not execute. So you need to check that. Excel. Okay, so you can see that okay, new every time, okay, new textbook store, even in your which we have seen, even in case of your Spring also we have seen the same. Okay, so every time exercises which will complete, one project can be completed here. So Spring also we have this chapter level, the data files are also available. As part of the, this is for the faculty, okay, to learn, okay, for your reference you should keep, and for the student, okay, you need to give these particular files. Okay, so if the student okay, maybe done the course, okay, maybe in ILT or SLT also, please provide him this particular data files. Okay, so he has to go through these exercises. Okay, he has to go through the exercises, because his book, okay, it will contain what he is supposed to do with this particular files also. So please provide the data files to them also. Okay, at the same time, Hibernate also the same thing. Chapter 2, you can see that okay, he will provide a sample input files only. It will be provided to you. It will not be fully. Okay, so don't give your files. Okay, that is, you have to give the student input files only. Okay, so that okay, the student has to complete its exercises also. So that is the part again. Same thing about the Spring also. So this is the few things about your main components which you need to know about your as part of your TRIM components it is concerned. Any TRIM component which you have the doubt, you can ask. Questions as part of the TRIM components is concerned. Because most of the time I want okay, the students okay, data files need to be saved, so that is why I have my objective is to save the data files with the students. So please okay, do this, and I'll be sharing with these particular data files with you, so please go through that also once. And as you know that okay, as far as book is concerned, okay, you have an ID book which is there. Each module will have two books. One is that okay, student guide which will be there, and one will have the your lab guide. Okay, the lab guide which will ask the student to do all their labs. Okay, depending on the input files, because these lab guide will ask for that particular input file. So hence we should create, we should give them that particular input files also. Everyone, maybe for Hibernate you take, or maybe for a JSF also you talk about. There are two files. There are two courseware which will be there. One is for student guide, one is for the lab guide also. Okay, so we need to go through, but what I suggest to all of you is, please go through once okay, the lab guide of everyone, and you see that okay, based on the input files of the student, what is he has to supposed to do also, so that okay, it will be better. Okay, so when we are giving the training to the students, okay, so it will be comfortable for us also. So I think mostly if you okay, sit for 2 days, okay, then easily you can complete all that particular labs okay, of your JSF, Hibernate and Spring also. So try out these all the things also. Any other things about your course it is concerned? Okay, if you have anything to share with me, okay, you can share. You can tell me the feedback. Okay, so anything, whatever the improvements okay, required for this training, that is also you can please share. And it is a pleasure for me, okay, to take this particular TTT. I was, okay, learned a lot of things, okay, with this particular training also from all of you. That is the best part of it. Okay, so whatever your feedback, okay, you can please share with me, so that, okay, for my next level of career. Okay, so because we all are, okay, faculties, we require the feedback, and as part of that, okay, so I want, okay, you please share the feedback, so that, okay, that will be helpful for me, okay, as part of your college. Yeah, please. You can tell about this particular session, okay, the overall, the this TTT which has been conducted, overall feedback which we can share also. Thank you, Mahesh. Others, can you please share? From Jayanagar, Chandigarh. Waiting for your response. You, Harsha. Okay, then, fine. So we'll stop it over here, and yeah, definitely we'll do. Fine. Thank you then, okay, with the feedback. Okay, so we'll definitely share some few demos, okay, with the Spring related and all. Okay, we'll see that, okay, the like with Hibernate and all other few demos, okay, which I can share with you. So thank you then. So we'll be touching the group and in the mail also, okay, and see that, okay, this session will be helpful when you are conducting your sessions and all. Thank you then. And I think, okay, you'll get a link from the feedback. Okay, so you need to, okay, give the feedback for this particular session in the mail. Thank you then. Have a nice day. Bye from my end.